Lifers Podcast. Get with it or get forgotten.
What's up, all you lifers out there? Welcome to MMA Mondays on a Sunday. It's your boys here. Got Papa Josh, Mikey C, the man, the myth, the legend. It's actually just us two this time. We didn't bring our friends for the slumber party. Decided to do things on our own. Kind of a little downwind, I guess, a little bit of UFC fights. You know, this fight night unfortunately wasn't as meaty as the other ones, I would say, I guess. Jessica I and Cavillo being the main event. Unfortunately, I missed this fight night card. I was running around my kiddos and just kind of got on too late. I saw some of the highlights, really of just Cavillo and a little bit of the Feely fight. I mean, I don't know really what to say besides, it seemed like there wasn't too much at stake, right, with the main event. I mean, at this point, I think the UFC was maybe hoping that Cavillo would beat Jessica I, which she did, to maybe set her up for slaughter for Amanda Nunes because they have no one else to offer her at this point.
It was flyweight. So it would be Shevchenko.
Shevchenko? She's at 125? It wasn't 135?
No, Shevchenko's 125.
No, I'm saying, so I thought she was fighting at 135. But she was fighting at 125? Oh,
yeah.
I mean, even still, if that's the case, if they're trying to set her up for
weird story, because Jessica I missed weight her last two fights, and Cynthia missed weight her last fight.
Oh, jeez.
So contender-wise, I mean, rankings-wise, Jessica I was number one. I think Cavillo was like number 6 or 7. I thought Jessica I mean, looking at it on paper, Cavillo was the favorite. But I thought I had the experience to grind out a decision. Not thinking that it was 5 rounds, but it went all 5 rounds. So
yeah. I mean, it just looked. I thought Jessica, being the kind of vet of that division, would have maybe given her more of an. And it seemed like the first round she did pretty well, but then the second round it seemed like she was just kind of like trying to counterpunch her, like from then on, like she was trying to react to her instead of like being the aggressor, and I think it just kind of cost her. But again,
it just blew my mind because she's a 23 fight pro veteran. She's fought the best, Miesha Tate. She's fought Shevchenko. Like, she's got a pretty good resume in terms of competition, and she couldn't string together more than 2 strikes, it seemed, and couldn't mount any type of game plan or at least execute a game plan. It didn't seem like Cavillo was much of a threat striking, which I thought that would be the biggest disparity for them. And then I knew that Cavillo would be the better wrestler. So I just felt like it was a lack of preparation for.
I was just gonna say, do you think she fell victim a little bit of COVID, of just like everything that's been happening? I mean, now that the trainings, I think your gyms are back to full capacity, right? Everything's somewhat
yes.
Knock
on wood. Hopefully, there's no huge wave that is predicted.
It stays that way, right? I'm knocking on wood for you, but I'm wondering if maybe, I don't know, maybe the preparation, just now finally having the gym, it just wasn't enough time, to really prepare. I mean, I don't know where Jessica I fights out of, like what gym. I know Cavillo is out of AKA, so I mean, you have
Cavillo is AKA. I wasn't sure if it was AKA or Team Alpha Male. I wasn't sure.
Cavillo, from what I remember, it was AKA. Yeah.
Well, heavy wrestling either way, either camp.
Exactly. But I mean, you have somebody like Cormier, bro. Literally, one of the videos I saw was Cormier like just going around the wall, like the mat, like people were chilling. It looked like obviously they'd already finished training, whatever, and just starting to wrestle with him, bro. He would do that to everybody, bro. He was doing it to Habib. He went to Gabriela. She was like literally, I think, unwrapping her hands, and he just comes in and starts grabbing her and rolling around with her. And then after he just finished it, he like gets up and she's like, all right, well, there goes I was gonna work out a little bit more, but I think I'm done now. So I mean, you had those kind of pieces to use to better yourself. I mean, I guess, which is good. I mean, it's good for her that she was able to kind of beat I guess caliber, but it's like, again, if I thought it was 135, if it's 125, you're still going against another champion who's essentially cleaned out her division. Like no one's gonna. I don't see anybody toppling Shevchenko at this point. So it's like you're just kind of gonna send her to get slaughtered because Shevchenko, her takedown defense is G, and her striking is on another level when it comes to that division. So I just, oh man, it stinks because like a lot of these fights in the women's division, unfortunately, now there's really the excitement's a little bit gone because all the girls that I think they were trying to market because they're beautiful, and granted they're also good fighters, but the Michelle Watersons, the Paige Van Zants, the Rachel Ostovich, the kind of the faces, I guess you could say, are never going to be on the caliber of any of these champions.
I'd say the more marketable
for sure
fighters on
but
that.
They're not. But they're never going to be what they want it to be, which would be a champion. Because the ultimate, what you want is your champion to be the face of that division, to be, and granted, they have that in what they have. I mean,
Ronda Rousey had it all, and there'll never be another champion like her, no matter how dominant Amanda Nunes gets.
No, yeah. I mean, I was just talking with Kev, and he was saying, like, he was asking, is Nunes the greatest female fighter of all time? And I mean, at this point, it's hard to argue. I would say Chris Cyborg had a longer career at being on top, and so that's why.
But it wasn't the UFC, so that's what the.
No, I know, but I mean, if you're talking about greatest fight, we weren't talking about greatest UFC fighter of all time, just the greatest female fighter of all time in MMA. I mean, Chris Cyborg was the one that was leading that charge for a long time. Granted, she did get popped for juicing.
She can take number 2. She can take the silver medal on this.
For sure. I mean, for me, it's hard to argue against somebody like Nunes who knocked Chris Cyborg out. Now, granted,
I think there was more competition for Nunes, more names. She's beaten, I think, 4 or 5 ex-champions: Rousey, Holm, Tate, GDR, and Cyborg. All held the belt.
True.
45 and at 35. So.
Well, I think my biggest caveat for Cyborg is also just that she got caught cheating. So it's like,
yeah, of course.
You're right. I would take Amanda probably first, especially what she just did now, and then probably Cyborg.
She's so spectacular that her last 2 fights have been kind of lackluster in comparison. So we don't know if she's losing a step or if people are figuring her out, or she's just coasting to show that she can go 5 rounds to further scare her opponents.
Yeah, I think that I would go with. I think that's what she was. I mean, she said in her interview, she's like, I deliberately didn't. She's like, I knew that if I wanted to take shots to finish her, then I would take that opportunity. She's like, but I wanted more to show that I could last these 5 rounds, and that I'm not gonna. This isn't the old me, essentially, that used to gas out in the first few rounds. So, I mean. Yeah, it's just it's heartbreaking for that for those ladies, because it's just, who are they?
How do you stay motivated?
I mean, that I could see that being the case, but also it's just like for the UFC, like who's, once you've lost, like Jessica she's never gonna get another title shot, most likely.
Of course not.
Felicia Spencer's never probably gonna get another title shot. A lot of these girls that have gotten beaten are just never gonna get another shot. The only one that would be maybe interesting would be, again, Shevchenko, but Dana White doesn't want to see it because she's already down 0-2, and I don't think he wants to take the chance of seeing his champion lose again, and risk, kind of making her look bad for her division. So I'm curious, see who rises as any sort of threat, which there won't be, but I'm curious to see who the UFC tries to put up on this pedestal, so that way it looks like it's going to be some sort of competitive fight for them, or for any of the champions. Because even Wei Li, again, I mean, that Joanna fight was amazing, but now who is she gonna fight?
The winner of Rose and Andrade, even though she already dropped Andrade.
Yeah. Well, and Rose is the one that needs to kind of evolve. But again, that's one fight, and then after that, if Wei Li destroys her, which honestly I don't see anybody beating Wei Li either. I mean, Rose might be able to, but Weili just hits. She just looks just stocky, just like really, really stocky and strong. And those hits, man, when she was,
Really?
yeah, when she smashes, man, she's got some
She's
power.
definitely talented. I think she's won like 18, 19 straight, maybe.
Yeah, she's on a tear, man.
I think she'll stay on top for a while, especially if you beat Joanna.
It's all three right now, and there's really nobody else, man. And it stinks because it's like, you try to. I think UFC has been really good about trying to prop up a lot of their female fighters, especially coming off of what Ronda did, and then notoriety that she brought to women's MMA, to especially for obviously for the UFC.
She's the Chuck Liddell. She has to be the Chuck Liddell women.
And then unfortunately, just once she got dismantled, and then once these champions really came out the woodwork that just started dominating, now it's just like, oh man, what's gonna happen? So, which it'll be good to see, what comes next, man. But I'm trying to think what else kind of happened in MMA news. It looks like Masvidal is definitely kind of staying his ground about not really fighting again until he feels he's compensated, which kind of sucks because Dana had a good point when he was on, I think, First Take, talking about, a lot of these guys signed their contracts. And Tony mentioned this too before on the last podcast. They just signed the new contracts, at least in particular, Tony and Masvidal and John Jones. And it seems like, I get why John Jones wants more money. That makes sense because he's going up in weight. And so he feels he should be compensated for that. And I think the UFC is just kind of being like, well, we're going to pay you what you agree that you would get paid. And I guess the way that they have their contract set up, it's all around. It doesn't matter if you take a fight in another weight class, you're going to get paid the same, which I think
doesn't make much sense.
Doesn't make sense, yeah, considering.
Doing them a favor.
And unfortunately, a lot of these MMA heads, I've seen Josh Thompson, McCarthy, a lot, even Joe Rogan, just talk about, until the fighters somewhat unionize and take this on together, that it'll never get resolved, unfortunately, because, and I think Masvidal is attempting to do that in some of his tweets that I've seen, and just, hey, letting fighters know, like, when you undercut each other, you're only screwing each other, because in the end, if you're willing to accept the fight for the cheap, guess what? They're always going to pay you that cheap money. And you're never gonna ascend and make more money for putting your body on the line, for putting your health on the line, which is what they do, what you guys do when you step into that octagon. So, and I think even Dominique Foxworth was trying to mention, he was a former NFL player. He was the one that kind of brought some of the harder questions to Dana. But that, usually when there's this amount of people that are kind of protesting a little bit about their contracts, that there might be an issue. And Dana White was kind of like, well, there's only 3 right now, out of 600, plus fighters. So he's like, I think I'm doing all right. And I kind of see where the UFC is coming from, where they're just like, man, we just signed this contract. How is it possible that you can't see that you can't renegotiate after just one fight after signing your contract? So unfortunately for John Jones, though, I think even every time you win, from what I remember seeing on one of these MMA podcasts, anytime a champion wins, their contract gets extended another 3 fights. So you're in this endless loop. You're never gonna, as long as you're the champion and you've defended your title, you're never gonna get out of that contract, because you're gonna have to adhere to whatever the UFC contractually has you for. So it's rough. It kind of stinks because, some of the more exciting fights that I think we want might not happen for a while until they can just either decide to fight for what their contract is, or until the UFC decides to pay them a little bit more. But I wanted to see that Usman Masvidal fight, or even Masvidal Covington, and seems like none of that's going to happen because Masvidal's not going to fight until he gets what he feels he deserves.
I just think it's terrible timing.
Really, and then
in the middle of a pandemic, I guess.
well, and then Connor supposedly, you know, from speaking, I guess, to Ariel Helwani was kind of more, I don't know if it was money or more frustration that they haven't been able to get him a fight, and I don't know, I would think it's always, I feel like financially driven, right? I feel like they just can't agree on, you know, either what Connor's going to get paid or whoever one of his opponents are. But, you know, now it looks like obviously Usman, Burns are fighting. And I think that card, if I remember correctly, looks pretty stacked.
3 title fights, yeah.
Yeah.
Aldo, Jan,
Yep.
and then Holloway and Volkanovski too. That's going to be exciting too.
I mean, at least they have those fights, but again, it's going to come down to what are we, you know, what are you going to do after that? I would like to think you're going to try to set up. I mean, I'd love to see Cody Garbrandt, Sean O'Malley. I saw that Tony, shout out to Tony Clark MMA. I saw that he put on that fantasy card. I think it was Garbrandt versus Morai.
Right, yeah.
Right.
That's
So,
good too.
That'd be a great fight too. So I mean, the 135, 145. There's still some people to fight. You know, I Korean Zombie and T City, that still needs to happen. Which
Yeah,
I'm surprised they haven't gotten
booked.
Huh?
I'm surprised they haven't gotten booked.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know after that altercation what happened between, you know, obviously with the pandemic things changed, but I'm surprised that they, you know, these are guys that were already training for each other. So it's like, I'm surprised they haven't made that fight happen sooner. What do you think of, speaking of Cody, what do you think about Sean O'Malley calling out Cody Garbrandt, saying he'll knock him out?
It's a big jump. I think that he's very good with his timing and his distance management. And I think they could both knock each other out. I think O'Malley might be the better striker.
Who do you think's the better striker?
O'Malley. More power goes to Garbrandt. Easy, though.
Yeah, Garbrandt's got that speed. That's the thing
He was very quick.
That's the thing that will let him, I think, slip some of those punches. But you're right. I think Sean has just a technique, and it's weird because this technique, it's just different. Like, I think I was listening to somebody mention that he didn't come from a striking background. Like, he just knew, he kind of developed his striking when he started going to the gym. So he kind of has like a karate stance, but it's not necessarily karate. Like, he just kind of, I guess, fell in love with striking, not necessarily like a certain style, I guess. But he has these, similar to like what Connor will do. He just comes up with these angles that he'll catch you, man. And he sets up those feints really, really well, man. I was watching some other highlights.
Mm-hmm.
And he just knows. He knows the reach. He knows the length. You know, he sets his jab really well to kind of get that distance, to get a feel of where you're going to be at, and then he just drops you, man. He just puts it on you. And it's a guy that you look at, you know, and you're like, man, he's a skinny kid. He's not like a beefy dude, but he's able to generate that power to just put people's lights out, man.
Technique.
You know, legit. Right in the bun. So if, let's say, if they don't give Garbrandt to O'Malley, who else would be like a good matchup for him to kind of keep raising his stock?
Definitely Moraes. I don't think Moraes gets another title shot while Cejudo's champ. So maybe Moraes beats Cody, or who else? I'm trying to think of who else in the bantamweight division. It's kind of stacked right now, but
yeah.
If he fights, I think Moraes gets 1 or 2 more fights. Maybe if he finishes both, he gets another title shot. The winner of Cejudo, or the winner of Aldo and Jan. Keep saying Cejudo.
Well, Aldo Jan, the winner of that is going to be Sterling. They're going to fight Sterling. Aljo's fighting.
Yeah. So
I mean, so most likely it'll be, you know, I think honestly it's probably going to be Jan over Aldo.
Maybe.
If Aldo wins, hey, congrats to that guy, though, because he well deserved.
Champion in 2 divisions. That'd be crazy.
You know, and but yeah, I mean, I see. If let's say they do set up like Garbrandt, Morai, right? Like who would Sean fight though? Was all I was asking. Like, who do you think he fights that'll help raise?
Or Sandhagen or Stamen. Maybe even Kelleher. Kelleher just lost though. One of those two. Dillashaw comes back next year, so in 6 months. We'll forget about him.
Supposedly, when TJ comes back, he's gonna get a title shot off rip.
I mean, it makes sense, but he's also a cheater.
Yeah, that's what to me. I was like, oh wow. I mean, I could see it because they've done that already, obviously.
If you get caught cheating once, I second guess all your wins.
Yeah, man. If you don't get tired, it's
it's kind of hard to lose.
Yeah, bro. in a fight game where if you naturally don't have the endurance, like bro, like that's why guys like Colby, guys like Usman, guys like Tony and Gaethje just showed, like the guys that have worked on their endurance hard. You get a guy that can just take some EPO and then they're good. It's like, well, fuck you, bro. You didn't put in the work to actually attain the endurance that I have.
Like you wouldn't get caught. You know how hard USADA cracks down on those guys?
Oh my God. Well, and even it goes to show just how great Cejudo is, that even with a guy that's not getting tired,
I'm out.
Still fucking caught him. And still fucking,
Which I really thought that Dillashaw would cream Cejudo. I really thought it'd be one-sided, and it should have been.
I thought that it was going to be more competitive, but I was leaning on more Dillashaw because, again, for me, it was more the angles. It was the reason why I thought Dominic Cruz had a really good shot against Cejudo. It was just the angles. But Cejudo's so fast, man. He essentially, I feel like, was a better – he doesn't have the striking of Garbrandt, but he has the speed of Garbrandt. And the rest is on another level. And so he was just, man, he was the quickness that he had against Dillashaw was really impressive. And then obviously what he showed against Dominic Cruz, man. The dude's a beast. It's funny though, but he wants a fight against Volkanovski. But Volkanovski, obviously he's only doing it so he wants to face the champion at 145. Do you think Volkanovski beats Holloway a second time?
If he implements the same game plan, I'm curious to see how Holloway responds this time around, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he just can't kickbox with Volkanovski.
No.
Volkanovski has way better Thai striking. Spends his camp in Thailand, from what I know.
And with Izzy.
That's how you beat a boxer. You kick his legs. You keep it away from boxing range. You make it kicking range.
Yeah, he can't generate any of that power. He can't plant his feet when his feet.
The more kicks you block, the more sore your arms get. The lower your hands go. You can't generate as much power. You can't, efficiently block strikes, punches, all of that. Especially with those small gloves.
Yeah.
And the right kick on your forearms can break your forearms. They're just strong enough. Like people kick through wood and wood planks and stuff? Same comparison to your forearms. I mean, there's a way to condition them, but, a kick comes the right way. It might break your arm in the middle of a fight.
I mean, listen, we saw
Rich Franklin and Chuck Liddell. Literally knocked him out with a broken arm. Crazy. But I just did some research on John Jones.
Yeah.
I don't think it's far-fetched for him to be asking for money and for them to even contest it. He's 22-0 in the UFC.
Oh, yeah. I know.
I think over 10 finishes.
I get it. It's a lot of their it's just dumb. Like, a lot of their argument is based off of his contract. But it's like, yeah, you would think that his contract is based off his weight division. It's like he's going up in weight, man. And he's taking on a guy who could easily clean his clock if he catches him.
It's definitely the biggest risk he'll ever take.
For sure. I mean, granted, the guy makes like $5 million a pay-per-view, right? A fight, which isn't bad. I mean, it's good money, right? But if you're getting paid that much to be the champion of your division, and you're going up to essentially to fight the number one contender basically for the heavyweight division, who's just been putting people to sleep. Like, give him 7-10 mil, double his pay. It's not like the guy isn't going to sell. The guy does still sell pay-per-views. It's just maybe not as much as Conor, but that's why Conor's making like 20 mil a fight.
It's a good point. You can get a little bit more the pay-per-view drips.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, come on, like help your champion out, help your guys out. But the UFC is in a position of power where they don't have to, because they have you contractually. They have you signed already. You signed that paper. Once you sign that paper, it's up to their discretion. And you can dispute it, and they can just say, okay, cool, bro, we'll move on. We've done it before. We don't need to keep you around to be successful. And they don't, honestly. I mean, they can easily invest into, if he vacates, they can easily have, Dominic come out. He's a young kid, and see what he does. You have John.
He ain't gonna sell nothing.
He ain't gonna sell.
But I don't think he'll ever be one of the faces.
No, they'd have to. I mean, he'd have to start now, and they'd have to, prop him up and keep pushing him. It's such a hard time because of the pandemic and everything that's going on. It's such a hard time to essentially kind of pay some of these guys maybe the bucks that they were expecting, because there's no gate. There's no people in the stands. There's nobody buying merchandise. There's nobody spending the money that they would, that they could capitalize on that they normally would, because they have thousands of people showing up to these events. They have thousands of people buying merchandise and buying things UFC affiliated. So it's like, I don't know if that's also why they're just not willing to pay them more money, because they're like, well, at this point, we just need to get these fights off. So if you're not going to fight, cool, we'll just find somebody else that'll do it for cheaper. So
I think that's what happened with Usman and Burns.
Oh, for sure. Well, Masvidal was swearing up and down that Usman wanted too much money. Now it looks that maybe Masvidal wanted not too much, but wanted more money, and they were like, no. And then they try to make.
He wanted what he got against Nate.
Huh?
He wanted what he got against Nate.
And they weren't trying to give him that.
Well, I don't think Usman sells as much as Nate does.
No.
Not even close.
And what's crazy is that's not necessarily. I mean, I guess it takes a good dance partner. So you got to you got to know that, like, if your dance partner doesn't sell as much, I mean, what are you going to do? You can only do as much as what your partner can do. So,
True.
I mean, and Chael made a great point, man, on his channel, where he was just like, these guys expect the UFC to pay them, right, more money, but the UFC is saying, hey, listen, you got to ask your fans to buy your fights. If your fans aren't buying these fights out the woodwork, then you're not going to make as much, because a lot of times their pay is based on some of the pay-per-view buys. And if no one's buying it, if no one's supporting you as much as you would want them to support you, the UFC looks at it like, well, why are we going to give you more money when you can't even get your fans to buy your fights, like to get you more money? So I don't know, man. It's such a weird thing. Obviously, there's like so much in the air when it comes to some of the better fighters, some of the more exciting fighters that we like seeing. It just kind of stinks that, like, right now, you might not get to see Conor get his 3 fights this year. We're not going to see, most likely, Conor fight 3 times this year.
Was it 3 or 4?
What happened?
Was it 3 or 4?
He said 3. He said he was going to fight. He'd fight Cowboy Cerrone. He said he was gonna fight for the BMF, and that then he would fight Khabib, or the winner of Tony Khabib, for the lightweight championship belt.
Good luck.
No. He needs to fight Tony. That'd be great right now if he could fight Tony. If him and Tony would fight, I don't think he'll take that fight.
I don't think Tony's even recovered still.
Yeah. I mean, it would be.
Been a month.
It's been a month. Oh yeah, no. The way he got whoop, they're not letting him fight for like 3 months, most likely. They're
Maybe
probably the full 90 days. Yeah, it's weird, man. I mean, at least at this point, it looks like hopefully Khabib and Justin are gonna fight sometime in September. So at least we'll have the lightweight championship belt still being defended. And honestly, I mean, we still have the middleweight belt, right? Oh no, I'm sorry, not the middleweight.
Middleweight as well.
We still got the featherweight, right? Well, I'm saying in the next big card.
Yeah, it'll be bantamweight, featherweight, and welter.
Okay.
So those are staying active.
Yeah. So I mean, at least the other divisions are, getting some exciting fights for us because, yeah, the big hitters just aren't really. They're not with the UFC right now. They're not happy about their pay situation. So, so let's see. So Volkanovski, Holloway. That's gonna be an exciting fight. I really love Holloway, but you're right. I don't know. I'm wondering what he's gonna do to come back and deal with those leg kicks. I'm wondering what he's gonna do to also kind of push the pace on Volkanovski, if he's gonna push the pace, because I don't remember him really doing that in their last fight. I feel like Volkanovski was really the aggressor.
I don't think he could have gotten into his normal rhythm, not against Volkanovski. But it's not like he dominated Max. It was just more he limited his movement. He was efficient his leg kicks. He didn't put Max in any serious harm.
Danger, yeah, no.
It was just enough to tell the judges, like, oh, okay, he won more rounds than Max.
Yeah.
Maybe 3-2, 4-1. I don't remember. It was a very memorable fight, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little anticlimactic. I mean, considering you've seen Holloway just getting these wars, the last fight he was in was a war with Poirier. And even before that, him and T-City, even though T-City obviously, got his ass whipped, unfortunately, it became a war. Like, a lot of heart. There's always a lot of heart whenever Holloway fights. And yeah, you're right. It was a little bit anticlimactic when it came to Volkanovski. But that's why I'm wondering if he realizes that he can't let this guy essentially just point strike him and just win another decision that way. He's got to be the aggressor. He's got to be the one to kind of push the pace on him. Who else was there? There's also Peter Yan, Aldo, right?
I don't know much about Peter Yan. He's got an impressive record, but his biggest win is against a 40-year-old favorite. So
yeah,
trying not to take away from him, but it's favorite.
If I'm being completely honest, I think Aljo is the next champion.
Aljo's coming up. He hasn't lost since Moraes, and I've always thought he was so talented.
Marlon?
Yeah, Marlon's talented, but I've always thought that Aljo's is very talented.
I mean, I want to see. I'm curious to see how Aldo looks, because I think was he fighting? Yeah, he's been fighting 135 already.
Won against Moraes, which people thought that he won, but Moraes won.
Yeah, I thought Aldo won too.
And I think that Cejudo would have whooped Aldo if they fought.
Yeah.
Times have changed.
Yeah, he's just too fast, man. He's just too fast. Like Henry is just. He's just like a bullet, bro. The dude is just quick, man. Quick, and those leg kicks are devastating. He throws them in bunches, man.
Ain't Aldo leg kicks though.
Huh?
They're not Aldo leg kicks.
It's true. I don't know though, but at 135, 145, I felt like Aldo had some mean leg kicks at 145.
He kind of leaned off of those, to be honest. I thought he was gonna tear up McGregor's legs.
But yeah, he didn't even throw one, because I mean, granted, he got knocked out in one of the quickest knockouts too. It's one of the top quickest knockouts.
So amazing to me.
I mean, he is, man. He's one of the best. He was one of the best champions. Again, it's another guy that had a long career at that division. So
long reign too. I think it was like 7-0 maybe in the UFC.
So and then unfortunately, his injuries just kind of, I think, got the best of him, and he just was never really the same as what he used to be. But yeah, I think I would like to see Aldo win, man. Honestly, I think Jan is gonna win. I think he's just the younger fighter, that just the hungrier fighter at this point. But I think Aldo wins it. I'm hoping I'm sorry, I think Jan's gonna win it. I'm hoping Aldo wins it though, because I'd love to see Aldo and Aljo go at it.
Aldo would take that.
Huh?
I don't think Aldo can take him down or outstrike him.
Aljo? I think he can get a hold of him. I'm just wondering. I mean, just because his reach is stupid for being as small as he is. Um, but I'm curious to see if Aldo can, if he ends up winning, if he can keep it on the feet, and because I definitely agree. I think he's a better striker than Aljo. I think Aljo has an amazing ground game. But you got to be able to take them down, and you got to be able to get your hands on them. So
You know what I've noticed with this whole quarantine and these short notice like fights happening every week now that they're trying to keep on schedule, a lot of fighters are rebooking themselves within the same month or two, month and a half. Like last night, Charles Rosa fought last May,
yeah,
and Roosevelt Roberts just recently fought Brock Weaver, I think 2 weeks ago, and now he's lined up to fight next weekend.
yeah. I mean,
That's cool how short notice people are taking.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't take damage and they're cleared to fight, these guys are gonna want to fight because that's the only way they're gonna make money. So they feel they know they got bills to pay, man. So I guarantee if Tony could fight right now, he'd fight. He'd fucking fight.
I imagine that they make a lot. Like, I mean, the minimum's like eight to show up.
Okay.
But imagine being able to fight multiple times. I mean, in times that they probably can't work, this is probably all they have right now.
For sure. They're training and hopefully, just waiting, I think, to get that call, man, to get in there. But we need to see your boy, man, see Alon back in there, man.
I know we're waiting.
You call his phone up, shit.
Waiting on an opponent, or I'm not sure exactly how far into that in the negotiations he's in. So.
Yeah. Well, shout out to him. Hopefully he gets a fight soon. Love to be able to talk about his stuff. And then we got and then the main event is it's Usman Gilbert, and I don't know, man.
One Fight Island, yeah, that's gonna be stacked.
I think Usman's gonna win, man. I think
I got Burns.
Yeah, you got Burns by what, submission?
I think just Burns outlasts him. I feel like
the decision.
I feel like he can't strike with Burns, and I mean they probably know each other better than we do matchup wise.
That's the wild thing, though. That's gonna be the wild thing. A little bit like John Jones or Rashad Evans, where they're training partners and for a long time, and then John Jones, he spoke the truth. He was talking a lot of shit, but he was being honest apparently, because he was like, yo, you know how many times I got the best of you when we were sparring, bro, when we were training, like
John Jones and Rashad, you said?
Rashad, yeah. He's like, I'm gonna fuck you up, and sure enough, he fucked his shit up, bro. He was
very, very one-sided. I thought he would have finished Rashad.
Oof.
To be honest.
So I'm wondering, because Gilbert goes to, they train, right? But Gilbert, I think he trains with like multiple people, I believe. He just has gone there to the, what is it, Black Zillas? I think he's gone there for like wrestling training. And so he'll roll around with like Usman and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, obviously Woodley was an impressive victory, but he's not. I just don't feel like he's gonna be able to do that same stuff to Usman, man. I don't see him being able to outstrike Usman, honestly, because I think Usman's pace, even though Gilbert's gonna be the aggressor, Usman doesn't tire, bro. He likes to push the pace as well. I don't know. And his wrestling's on another level, I feel like, for that welterweight division.
I think Burns hits way harder than Covington, so if he gets hit as much as
I agree. He definitely hits harder.
Could be rough.
Usman, like Colby, is a volume puncher. He just hits you in bunches and eventually just eats away at you, because you just don't see him tire out. So you're like, fuck, man. But that should be a good fight, considering these guys train together, so they know. I'm sure they know each other's like little moves, little transitions. This guy's grabbing my leg here. Okay, he's gonna go over here. He's gonna probably rotate his hips here. So
I'm kind of curious to see how they do. I mean, I'm not sure if they've had a lot of wrestling practice together. I know that they have the same striking coach.
I think they have, bro. I think they
A
have
lot of wrestling.
a lot of fights. For a lot of fights. And I'm curious if he even helped them with the Woodley fight. I think he helped them even with for his training camp for Woodley. So
That blows my mind.
yeah, well, you know,
Really matter in this game, I guess.
I mean, for them, if they didn't come up together, I could see why he's not as like weird about fighting his own teammate, you know? So I could see that. I just think yeah, man, I really want to see Usman on top just because I really want to see him fight Masvidal, man. I think Masvidal deserves a title shot.
We deserve that fight.
Deserved that fight, man. You know, he's always hating on the crotch sniffers, bro. Masvidal. So it's like, you know, I want to see his level of striking and versus Usman's level of wrestling, man. Because we never got to see that really with Ben Askren, which was I was thinking that, you know, when he was fighting or when they booked Askren Masvidal, I was like, man, if Askren gets a hold of him, it's gonna be a problem.
It's been a long night.
But he's gotta get a hold of him because Askren's striking is like toddler level. So
it's crazy how much he got away with, yeah.
Yo, and he fought Lima. How did he fight Lima? Like, and get a win? Like, to me, that's why to me I was like, man, I was like, if he can, granted, he's obviously older than when he fought Lima at the time. So, but if he can maybe, you know, use the same strategy, then he can pull off a win. Again, especially if he gets a hold of him. But he never even had the fucking chance. Bro, he just recently tweeted too something. I think somebody had mentioned like something about knockouts, fastest knockouts. And
yeah, I saw that. Hilarious.
Like, no one's ever gonna beat my record. I was like, fuck yeah. Like, good on Askren, bro. He can dish it, but he knows how to take it on the chin, bro. Literally, because he did. Fucking guy.
Poor guy. Yeah.
It is what it is. I was a big champion for him, especially after seeing, you know, I saw kind of, you know, Joe Rogan and Shaw talk so highly about him, and I hadn't really seen too many of his fights. And I remember I went back and I started watching his fights. I was like, man, this guy is impressive. I was like, I don't see him striking like the dude. I don't know where he learned to throw hands, but but his wrestling just was on another level. And then sure enough, man, he came to the UFC, and I was like, hell yeah, all right, let's see what happens. Robbie Lawler, I was like, oh man, he's about to get.
They got him way too late though. They picked him up way too late, way out of his prime.
Yeah, for sure. But I was still thinking, okay, well, you know, if he can have an impressive win over Lawler, then that'll kind of set the pace for what he's able to do in the rest of that division. And granted, he was able to weather that storm versus Lawler, and you know, got that bulldog choke, which obviously was very controversial. But to me, it didn't seem like he was letting up, bro. Like, it didn't seem like even if, you know, this guy didn't go limp or whatever the case is, it didn't seem like he was gonna let go of that bulldog choke anytime soon.
No.
He had like his grip.
I don't see it going that well.
Yeah. So, but and then, you know, so I was like, okay, I could see him possibly, if he can get a hold of these guys and not stand and not strike, then yeah, you know, he can get some of these dubs. But once they gave him, I mean, he was fishing so hard for Till, and then Till got knocked out by Masvidal, so he switched his focus. And sure enough, man, I mean,
he's lucky he didn't get Till.
Oh hell yeah! I mean, bro, honestly, I think Till would have beat him too, but Till wouldn't have beat him like Masvidal did. Masvidal just left him. And Masvidal was smart, bro. He was training on that knee, that flying knee, bro. He was using it in training camp a lot, and he caught him. He saw that he was gonna go in for the takedown, and said, "Okay, I'm gonna hit him with this knee." And did you see when he fought Nate? how he did the running start too.
And like faked it. Faked it
Dave was like, "Hey man, what the fuck you doing, bro? You ain't catching me with that shit."
Jeez.
Oh
Imagine.
man.
I don't think
Masvidal, figure it out, bro. Please. I need to see you fight, man. We gotta see you fight, bro.
he's been so talented for so many years. He was the king of the split decisions for a bit too.
Wow, man.
He was
Wow.
in split decisions.
Hey man, good for him for kind of taking that turn and realizing his true potential and making a star out of himself, because he's been doing it for a while, but no one ever really gave him the credit of, you know, having as many fights as he has and being able to produce as long as he's been able to produce and produce exciting fights. But yeah, man, we got to get him. He's got to get back into the ring soon, man. Who else we got? So Stipe Cormier officially booked, I think, August 18th.
Yeah, thank God. That's a true trilogy right there. 1-1.
Both of them are gonna retire most likely afterwards.
Crazy.
Both of them kind of for who's going to be the best heavyweight champ, which to me, I think is kind of a silly argument, I guess, because, you know, Daniel really didn't.
I mean, he's had a few, but I guess he hasn't really defended it though. I mean, he defended his belt once, I guess.
You know, and again, they're bringing in the Bellator fights, right? Or is it Strikeforce?
What do you mean? It was Strikeforce.
Strikeforce. Well, they're bringing that into play because of the fact that he was a champion there and his domination as a heavyweight there.
Yeah, not even close.
Never lost as a heavyweight until Stipe. So I can see why they're trying to make that argument. But if you're talking about UFC heavyweight, who's the greatest UFC heavyweight at this point? It is Stipe Miocic. He has the most title defenses at the heavyweight division, and some just wars, bro. Some wars.
The only person he hasn't finished in his last like 10 fights has been Francis.
Yeah, Francis. Yeah, I mean, what he's done with that division, and being a firefighter, being this, he's out of Ohio, ain't he? Out of Cleveland.
Yes.
Cleveland dude. Very like, you know, I believe Croatian, man, came from a family of immigrants. Just his story in general, just like it's the American dream, essentially, you know. Came to this country and did fucking work, bro. A man's man, essentially, you know. Like most of these fighters are, but like this guy they would have trained and be a firefighter, you know, can whoop your ass, but also save you from fire that same day.
Very likable too. Stipe is very likable.
He is, man. It just stinks because he was another champ that never really got his dues, I guess, from the UFC. Really didn't get the maybe respect and notoriety that he deserved. Same as like Woodley, because and Woodley, I think, granted, there was a little bit of, you know, the stigma of just him being a boring fighter with some of his fights, with some of his wrestling and shit
defense, like that. His title defenses for sure.
You know, but he was still dominant. He put plenty of people still to sleep. But that's not the case for Stipe. You know, Stipe hasn't had a boring fight. Stipe has been knocking fools out and producing for the UFC for a long fucking time since he started fighting there. And for him not to get the respect that I felt like he deserved, kind of stuck. And it just goes to show, because a lot of these guys then don't market them as well, you know, after that, when a lot of that shit happens. But then also it just kind of comes off like you just see them like not really wanting to fight for this organization because they feel like they're just not getting the respect that they feel they deserve. So, you know, luckily he's finally gonna put his title on the line and fight again against DC. And I'm really curious to see who wins that, man. I mean,
that's a toss up at this point.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I don't, and it sucks because I think both fighters deserve kind of that that strong finish, you know. But I don't know if anybody's more likable than DC. So I just feel like people are just naturally going to want to see DC win. You know, he's constantly in the face of the UFC. He is a little bit of the face of the heavyweight division right now because he's just always around essentially. But he's got to be able to defend the he's got to be able to defend the body blows. He's got to do something about, you know, taking those hits to the body, because once Stipe realized that, it was a wrap for DC.
I thought he was losing the fight too. It was a crazy part.
Legit. But that's what turned the tide. Like, it was just, you know, I think DC overall is a better heavyweight than Stipe. I think just
Yeah.
I think he has great striking. I think he has great wrestling. I think maybe not. I guess striking is maybe more balanced, because I think Stipe has really great boxing. His boxing is nasty. I think Daniel has better dirty boxing, up in the clinch, real close, can hit you.
Kickboxing, I think.
I'm sorry?
I think he has better kickboxing.
Kickboxing, yeah. And obviously his wrestling is Olympic level. So I can see why on paper maybe Daniel might be the favorite come that. I don't know if the odds are already out. But man, I mean, Stipe's done it for a long time. Stipe's defended his belt for a long time. He lost it, you know, to this man, but gained it right the fuck back. So I don't know. I really don't know, man. I don't know. I'm hoping for. I could see Stipe possibly fighting afterwards more than I could see DC fighting.
Definitely Stipe over DC, yes.
Yeah. So that's why I'm kind of leaning for maybe DC to win, because then he can ride off to the sunset, just be a commentator and
on top
and leave on top. And then Stipe will always have another opportunity to come back and win, because even if he loses now, let's say Francis fights, you know, they set up Francis, who do they have him fight though for the title?
It'll only be Francis, to be honest, or Derek Lewis.
But who would Francis fight?
For the
Because
title.
it's not going to be Stipe. If Stipe loses, he's not going to get another title fight. So especially if DC vacates the title. So it's like, Frank, I'm trying to think, man. Who else heavyweight wise?
Curtis Blades? He already beat him twice.
Nope.
There's really no one.
Right. So that's the. I mean, they can make Stipe Francis too. I just don't see the UFC giving him another title fight if he just lost. And depending on the fashion in which he loses, if he does lose. But I would think that if they can find
not a lot of people.
affordable contender or another, you know, opponent for Francis, then possibly Stipe could come back for the title after that fight. I just don't see him immediately coming after a loss and then DC vacates it and then Stipe has another chance to be a champion again against Francis. So
that's crazy. Yeah, I wonder what they're gonna do. And I wonder how much Stipe's got left. I mean, he did just sign for that fight finally, but I'm looking at the rankings right now. I mean, Francis has beaten Blades, Dos Santos, Rosenstruik. He just hasn't fought DC and Stipe are number one and two. So yeah. I mean, I don't know where Ngannou goes from here.
Yeah,
Volkov, maybe. I don't know.
Who, Verdun?
Volkov.
Oh, Volkov.
Alexander Volkov, yeah. Definitely not Verdun.
Yeah, I was gonna say who, Verdun.
No way.
Mr. Flab himself.
Crazy. Not a lot of options at heavyweight though. Very, very shallow.
That's another division that unfortunately, just due to circumstance, just is looking less and less exciting when it comes to, you know, Stipe and DC possibly retiring. So I haven't seen if they booked anybody else for that card, for that August 18th card. I wish they could, you know, somehow. I wish they could get somehow Habib to fight on that card too.
You think in August?
Well, I mean, I don't think so. It's supposedly it's going to be in September, but it would be great to. It would have been great, I think, to have Khabib there for DC's possibly his possible last fight. Just to kind of have the AKA crew there. But I mean, I don't see it. It would be great though if they could have booked something like that for August. I'm wondering, Poirier now is fighting Dan Hooker. Do we know what that's in July, right?
Late July, maybe.
Yeah, right.
Not sure.
Yeah. Which should be an exciting fight. Poirier, I think if he wants to contend for the title again, obviously has to get a win here. I think I feel like they're trying to maybe prop up Dan Hooker to be the next guy up. And so this is obviously going to be one of his biggest tests. I don't know. I really like Poirier, man. I really like his style, and
very good boxer.
Very, very good striker.
I got Poirier in that matchup, even though it's a pretty tight one, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm going Poirier just because I like Poirier. But Dan Hooker he's a fucking animal too, bro. And I could see him beating the shit out of him if he's tough, man. Because I think Hooker's a bigger guy, and he's a longer guy.
Okay, yeah. Definitely a little bit lankier, I believe.
Yeah. I don't know what the reach wise is. I would assume that Dan's gonna have the reach. But Poirier can get inside, man. He's not afraid to get in your face. So and his jiu-jitsu is pretty spot on. I mean, fuck, he had that guillotine on Khabib. He just didn't have it tight enough apparently, because he blew out his arms, and unfortunately after that attempt, Khabib just was like, all right, well now you're dead.
It seemed like it's the only attack he had all fight for the most part.
Legit, yeah. That's the only He didn't win any rounds in that fight, unfortunately for him. But he put a hell of a fight on still. He definitely rocked Khabib too. He hit him with a couple of shots that I know Khabib felt. Like you could tell he felt those shots. He didn't let it bother him. He kept pushing the pace and kept moving forward. But yeah, man, I mean, Poirier, can you see what rank Poirier is now?
Number 3.
Number 3?
Yeah. Hooker's 5.
Okay.
Like Connor's still ranked, but he's 4.
Somehow. Hasn't fought at 155 since Khabib, but somehow he's still ranked 4.
Might as well put him at welterweight too, huh?
I mean, so if Dan Hooker wins, right? Let's say Dan Hooker wins, because that's another thing too. If Poirier wins, he's not fighting for a title right now. They're not going to give him another title shot.
He'd have to beat Ferguson to do that.
Exactly. Hooker, let's say Hooker does win, he bumps from 5 to what? To 3? Does he take Poirier's spot?
Yeah.
So he takes Poirier's spot.
And he has to fight Ferguson.
Do you think if Khabib beats Gaethje that Khabib's gonna wanna fight Tony, or
hopefully Tony? I think you should still give him the fight after a loss.
For sure. I agree.
I know.
I think legacy-wise, if he can beat Gaethje, if he can beat Tony, he already beat Conor. He beat Poirier, which was another guy granted, he was more dominant at 145, but came to 155 and started looking very promising. So he beat another really legit fucking lightweight. He would kind of clean house. I mean, he could always fight Dan Hooker if, let's say, he ends up beating Tony after that. But I just, I don't know how exciting people would be for Hooker. I think more likely people would just be more excited to see Khabib defend his title more than seeing Khabib defend his title versus somebody like Tony Ferguson that actually has, a chance of beating him. Because I don't see Dan Hooker beating Khabib.
No one in that division.
So I think the only 2 guys that have the tools to beat him are Gaethje and Tony. And I didn't even think Gaethje had it in him until I saw just the the dismantling of Tony.
Yeah. I mean, Gaethje's on fire right now. That's gonna be the hardest fight Khabib will ever have. But after that, I don't think there's much left for him.
Yeah. And I mean, and he's talked about retiring possibly soon. So I could see him fighting Gaethje, fighting Tony. If he wants another cash grab, he can maybe rematch Conor and end it there. Smash Conor one more time and be like, all right, guys, I'm fucking out. I got my money now from this Irish motherfucker, and I'm out.
I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever fight again, to be honest.
I don't think so, because I don't think Ali already said that he doesn't want, Ali being his manager, Ali Abdelaziz, I believe. I think he already said he doesn't want to, Khabib doesn't want to fight him, and Ali doesn't care for him to fight Conor again. So, you know, and Ali obviously is very well respected when it comes to his fighters, and I mean, shit, he represents both Gaethje and Khabib. So, so it'll be really interesting. And he even told Gaethje, he was like, you know, if you want to fight Conor, you can. If you want to make some money, he's like, you'll make some money. He's like, there's no doubt. Like, you'll definitely make some money. He's like, but you know, if you want to fight for the title, then this is what, you know, you just got to kind of wait, basically. And he was more than willing to do that. So, because Gaethje already said, he was like, bro, Conor could have fought Gaethje when they were trying to make that fight when they ended up making that fight with Cowboy. He had the opportunity to fight Gaethje. He didn't fight him then.
Chose not to.
Yeah. So of course now that he's got some clout, now Conor wants to fight him. It's just like, I get it. I guess, you know, maybe he wasn't on the level, but it's like, but you're gonna take on an older Cowboy that doesn't even, like, he's at he's not even a natural, like, he's not like a 170 fighter. You know, he's not a welterweight fighter. So it's like you're fighting not a scrub, because by no means is he a scrub, but you're fighting a guy that isn't
Contender.
That isn't a contender, man. He just isn't, you know? So what does that do for your stock? Yeah, you look good. You look really good against him. But what does that do for your stock? It does nothing. You beat a guy like Gaethje, who's known for striking, who's known for just knocking motherfuckers out, who beat the shit out of Cowboy at 155.
Really bad. Really, really bad.
You know, then you look even more badass. Then maybe the argument could be made, hey, he does deserve another shot at Khabib. Look what he did to this guy, you know? But
he absolutely does not.
Yeah.
Not in our lifetime.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what it is. You know, money talks, so we'll see. I mean, Khabib, apparently he's made a lot of money, and he doesn't, that's not like his thing. You know, he doesn't care if he has,
Of course not.
he like still lives with his dad when he's in Dagestan. Like, you know, he's very family oriented, very like minimalist from what I can tell. So to me, that's why to me he's one of the greatest champions, man. He's just like, he doesn't care about the flash, doesn't care about that shit. It's like, I just want to smash people.
Probably about legacy.
Yeah, I just want my legacy to be great. I want to be one of the greatest combat fighters. You know, he's a 2-time combat Sambo champion and a 2-time world Sambo champion, which is like international Sambo champion, which is like, so he's trying to be like the greatest. You know, now, you know, obviously now he reached MMA champion.
Like 28-0, 29-0, something like that.
Yeah, 29-0. 29-0, bro. It's stupid. And now he's won how many in the UFC? I think he's won 12, 11?
Somewhere around there.
I thought he was just short of Tony's record. So Tony had a 12-fight win streak going into Gaethje, I believe. I think he had a 12-fight win streak. I'd like to say.
I think it was 12 for Tony.
I think Khabib is like at 11, 10 or 11. He's like right under it. So if he beats Gaethje, that'll either put him tied with Tony. But yeah, and I'm curious to see who had the most title defenses for lightweight division. That's one thing I don't know.
I think it might have been BJ Penn at 5, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Because Khabib's only defended it twice.
Yeah.
But, so Gaethje would be 3. If he happens to fight Tony, that's 4. Yeah, he might not go for the most title defenses because I don't know who. I mean, if he wants to be the ultimate lightweight champion, then he needs to defend his title more than BJ Penn. At least either if not more, at least match his title defenses.
True. Yeah, I feel like it took him forever to get a title shot though.
It did. You're right. He definitely did. He definitely did. And his streak, I think, is more impressive than I don't think BJ Penn ever had a streak like that in the lightweight division. But I think it leaves no doubt that he was the best champion, because as a champion, you only know how great of a champion you are depending on how long you kept your belt and how many people you fought against, to defend it. So, and I mean, and there's guys that there's no gimme guys, you know what I'm saying? Really, at the top. If he beat Dustin, he beat Connor. If he beats Gaethje, he beats Tony. Those are all fucking monsters of that division. And then you beat a guy maybe like Dan Hooker, who's an up-and-comer. That's that's 5 right there, and he can kind of walk away. I'm trying to see who else 155 has been really impressive.
It's pretty shallow in terms of competition for him.
That's it. It's all pretty top-heavy. I mean, there's definitely some. I'm trying to think who are some of these up-and-comers. I mean, Dan Hooker was kind of one rising up through the charts here, or through the ranks. I mean, charts like it's music. But yeah, I mean, even if he can finish strong with something like that, man, I think it really solidify him as one of the greatest lightweight champions in UFC history.
Absolutely.
But that's a lot of what ifs. A lot of shit has to. He has to go through Gaethje. He has to be able to beat Gaethje, and he has to be able to beat Tony if that's going to be the case, man. And those are two.
I feel like his legacy's incomplete until he fights Tony.
For sure. I agree. Hopefully they can get that done, man. I hope Dana doesn't look at it as, because if, let's say, Khabib does end up beating Gaethje, that it means that they shouldn't make the matchup with Tony because Tony got his ass whipped by Gaethje, I'm hoping that's not the case. I don't think it'll be. I think they respect Tony enough for what he's done for that company, that they won't shit on him like that. But you never know. We'll see. It's not, it's not just Dana making these fights. It's they got a whole agency behind them. Bro, you know what I realized? Going back on the Dana thing, there's an agency that owns the UFC. It's the WME agency.
Yeah.
And it's a big agency in LA. They represent a lot of athletes, a lot of fucking actors, all types of people, right? Well, they apparently have been not doing well financially. They have not been doing well. And they're the big money that's been behind the UFC.
Yeah.
So I remember, I don't know who mentioned it, but they had mentioned how they were kind of hemorrhaging money. And so that might be one of the reasons why they're not essentially paying these fighters maybe more, especially because they're not getting any of the money from the gate. They're not getting any money from merchandise, stuff like that. Because I remember that agency in particular just, their clients aren't getting booked for anything. All production is stopped. So it's like they're not making deals. They're not making commission. They're not able to support, the other businesses that they have, unfortunately. So, so I'm wondering if that's part of the reason why some of these fighters just they're not able to renegotiate, because they're like, no, we're not going to budge because we're,
I'm making that much.
So the company ain't making shit. So they can't give us any money. Let's see, who else we got, man? I'm trying to think. Is that really it? I think that might be it, right? I don't know if there's anything else down the pipeline that's been announced. I think DC's Stipe is the latest. Is the fight the furthest away, headline wise.
I can't think of anything big that we haven't covered.
Yeah, that's pretty good, man. I'm trying to see. So we got to get together, and I want you to show me some moves, man.
Pretty private, you got it.
I want to show you some moves, and we can record it so you can see how silly I look, so the people can see how silly I look. But yeah, man, I want to get down on some jiu-jitsu, to kind of roll around and get a feel. It's been a while since I grappled, like 17 years. It's been too long. Actually, longer than
Did it
that.
like 5-6 times last week.
Huh? I know. I saw you rolling around, bro. But yeah, I want to get into the gym and start training and getting into shape again. So hopefully we can make that happen, bro.
Oh yeah, bro. Let me know.
And record it for the lifers out there. But yeah, man, I think that's it, man. I think we kind of covered everything that's happening. Sorry, Cabillo and I, that we didn't really give you too much praise for your fight.
Masterful performance by Calvillo.
Hopefully, hopefully Cabillo presents
a title shot.
She's gonna get one now. I'm telling you, that's the only reason why that she bumped up, was just so that way she can contend for a title possibly. And
I feel like they almost insulted us by making that a main event.
What happened?
I feel like they insulted us for making that a main event.
I mean, I just,
that's prestigious.
I think it goes for sure. And granted, it was a fight night, right? But with that fight night, it's like you're telling me no one else wanted to fight. I mean, and maybe they just couldn't get anybody else to fight for that fight night, to get a proper headline going, a main event going. But we'll see. Hopefully, the bantamweight has a lot of young stars up and coming, a lot of people kind of making their comeback in like Cody Garbrandt and Marlon and Aldo. So hopefully that'll be able to keep us entertained and keep us talking about some of these great fighters out there, man. So all you lifers out there, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Catch us next Monday. We'll be here, same bad time, same bad channel.